It's been a week since South Africa moved back to level 3 from level 1. This move is desperate, was a desperate attempt to try and curb the spread of COVID-19 across all provinces. The current daily reported COVID-19 positive numbers continue to rise, and deaths are also increasing. The National Coronavirus Command Council is meeting today. That's to discuss the current situation in the country. Joining us now to discuss the effectiveness of the level 3 restrictions, we are joined by Dr. Aslam Dasoo. He is the convener of the Progressive Health Forum. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Level 3 started a week ago. Your assessment, are these restrictions working or not?
Good morning. Look, the situation is such that we're going to have to put in curbs. Whether the lockdown level 3 has achieved the desired result, we'll know soon enough. But clearly the additional curfew and the alcohol ban has certainly reduced pressure on the state, hospitals, I should say rather. And you know, I'm sure the other measures will have some effect.
Yeah.
But we are in a difficult situation because the infections are still on the rise and they're moving into a younger cohort, which means we're getting more younger people who are getting sick. Could be because of the new variant that is driving it, but it is an extremely worrying situation.
The restrictions, Doctor, lots of criticism has been leveled against the government leadership that the hard lockdown that we saw last year at the beginning in March, it was not necessary, particularly for countries like South Africa and perhaps the continent wide. What is your sense here? If the president is going to continue with the restrictions, will he be justified to move from level 3 to possibly an even higher lockdown level? Or might he just tighten the restrictions within this level 3 of the lockdown?
Well, it's very hard to say because they have the information in the command council, and they'll make a call based on that, I'm sure. But it's very clear that the effects of lockdowns have huge consequences and don't necessarily reduce the transmission of this virus sufficiently. And, you know, you can tinker with these regulations and move the levels and so on, but it's not going to be a game changer in any way, shape or form. The only thing that will be is a vaccine. And I think the focus must now squarely shift to that. Of course, you have to take measures on the day-to-day basis, and lockdown restrictions will apply there, and people need to look at that and ask the population to be cooperative as far as that goes. But at a national level, we have one priority right now, and that is to get vaccines. We all know that we have not acquired these, you know, as we should have sooner, but that is now water under the bridge, and we have to look forward. We're at day 0, way behind other countries, but we have to make a national effort in this regard.
Yeah. Doctor, you've not minced your words about the South African government's lackadaisical approach towards the acquiring of these vaccines. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a moment, but I want to still hop on this issue of the meeting that is currently ongoing of the NCCC. It's been convened, it would seem, on an urgent basis. It was meant to take place next week sometime. The indicators here, what does this point to, that this meeting is being convened on an urgent basis? What might South Africans anticipate from it?
Well, if experience is any guide, this kind of meeting of the committee usually presages a deepening of restrictions. Within the context of the second wave, it wouldn't be surprising that they would come out with further restrictions. To what level, one can't say. But look, governments have to be seen to be doing something, and as effectively as possible. How effective the measures will be, time will tell. But the indications are that they're going to consider further restrictions in order to curb the spread. We have a critical situation right now because people are moving back from their holidays and from travels and coming back to the inland provinces. Gauteng, for example, can expect a huge surge starting now. The Western Cape will decline because people will be moving out, and they started the second wave earlier. But Gauteng and inland provinces are going to take a big hit, and that will probably be throughout January. So when the Command Council sits, they probably have that in mind.
Yeah.
And so they'll probably have to take measures accordingly.
Yeah, and you mentioned this surge that is likely to come to provinces like Gauteng. I imagine Limpopo as well, the situation they are facing there, Zimbabwean nationals looking to cross into South Africa. Let's talk about the vaccines, Doctor. You have been very critical of the health minister and all the kinds of justifications that he sought to put forward. When do you think that government might actually be able to acquire these vaccines, but also importantly, how they are acquired given the corruption scourge that we are faced with?
Okay, so let me firstly say that I think the minister made the correct statements in his last press conference. He said three things. He said, one, vaccination is the critical measure to get us beyond the pandemic. He was unequivocal about that, and we completely agree with him. Second, despite the fact that we were caught napping as far as vaccine acquisition is concerned, he has indicated that bilateral negotiations with pharmaceutical companies to acquire vaccine before the promised COVAX facility gives it to us in the second quarter is underway. This is also very welcome. This should have started long ago, but it's starting. So we're glad about that. And third, he said that this can't be managed by the government alone. It will have to be managed by the private sector together with the government and other players. Now, why that last point is important is we believe that there needs to be a step change in the government response. It's all well and good having the Command Council manage these finicky regulations and so on. But the big picture is that we need the vaccines. We are way behind the queue. Others are in front of us. We don't have any confirmed supply yet. But the only way we can get there is if President Cyril Ramaphosa becomes the face of a national effort that draws in the social partners that we all know, but outside the established structures, which are slow and bureaucratic. We need a different focus. You need business on board, you need labor on board, and very importantly, you need civil society. The C19, the COVID-19 Civil Society Coalition is a broad umbrella of very important community structures that can get the population cooperating with an effort like this. But I put it to you, there's only one person in South Africa right now who can restore confidence and credibility in this effort, and that is President Ramaphosa, who has to rally the country right now in the pursuit of acquiring vaccines and rolling it out.
Dr. Dasoo, I'm completely out of time, but perhaps let me ask you to stay on, and I'm hoping that my team is going to allow me to continue this conversation after the headlines. Dr. Dasoo, you were making such an important point as we thought we were ending our conversation, and you're saying that the president, to use your words, must now become the face of the national effort. My ears are telling me that you are, in a way, passing a vote of no confidence against the health minister. Is that effectively what you are seeking to do here?
No, not at all. I think it's a very difficult thing to manage, this COVID thing, and we do learn as we go along, and mistakes are going to occur. However, the mistake that we really are going to pay a heavy price for is the failure to acquire sufficient supply of vaccine in a timely manner. Now, that is the responsibility of the team at the Department of Health. I'm sure the minister has done his bit as a political head, and he has established the parameters, as I pointed out earlier, by insisting that vaccination is the only thing that gets us beyond the pandemic, that they have started bilateral negotiations, and that private sector and other players are going to be necessary in the rollout of this effort. Having said that, though, the level of skepticism is so high, and our knowledge of the fact of the lack of capacity in the not just the Department of Health, but in several government institutions that are vital to rolling out successful vaccine strategy, is so poor, the lack of the capacity, that we need a different way of doing things. So as far as credibility and confidence to the nation is concerned, we are of the view, and it's a very considered view, and it's not about the Minister of Health, but it is about the population, that the population will rally behind President Ramaphosa, but he must be seen to be front and center of the vaccine acquisition and rollout strategy, because there's a number of issues that will require that confidence. First of all, you're also probably aware that vaccine hesitancy is increasing. We need to stem that particular development, because we need a cooperative population that will be willing to be vaccinated to get us to a level of population immunity that puts us beyond the pandemic. And really, our view is that only the president can rally the people at this point. So it's not a statement of no confidence in anyone else, but a statement of great confidence in the president leading such an effort. We all know who the social partners are. There's labor, there's business, civil society, but they're all stuck in ad hoc or committees or structures that can't really move quickly on what has become now a serious national emergency. And the president is the only person who can rally these forces at a higher level, at an independent level, as a national effort for the country to get us on the road as far as vaccination is concerned.
Dr. Dasoo, I must end this conversation, but one more attempt. You mentioned the words, and I'm going to carefully mark them out as you spoke. You spoke about the skepticism that is high. You speak about the lack of capacity in as far as our health system is concerned. And then you top it off by saying credibility and confidence is of utmost importance, particularly for South Africans to believe in government. And you're saying the face of this has got to be the president. And I ask you, what has gotten you to this point? You are completely confident in the health minister, but you're saying, in a way, he's got to step aside and the president be the face of this. Has the health minister not been the face of this pandemic? And if you're saying that the president must now be the person who is the face of this, I put it to you, you are passing a vote of no confidence against the health minister.
The Minister of Health has, I believe, tried very hard during the last year, and he has been the face of the effort, and he does have, a lot to show for that. He's unfortunately not well served by the team he has, and that's just a fact. And that's not casting any aspersions on any particular individual. And the fact of that is known by what we have in front of us right now, when in fact we could have had vaccine orders in 6 months ago. They neglected to do that. So the rest of the world moved ahead and South Africa got left behind. Now, clearly, that means that just for the minister alone to try and pick that whole thing up now is not going to be enough. People will rightfully ask, but why didn't you do this before? And unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of time to get into that retrospective analysis and casting blame. Unfortunately, there will be a time for a reckoning, but that's not now. Right now, we are concerned with getting the people into a vaccine-safe environment and a vaccine-safe process. So to allow us to do that, first of all, we need to get the vaccines. Pharmaceutical companies are very well disposed to South Africa even now. But it will take the president, who has great international credibility, to be able to move them to find excess vaccine stock for us that we can get fairly quickly. I can't see, and we are not convinced that anyone else can do this, whatever the talents they may have. And the Minister of Health is an extremely talented person. But that, perception is reality in a lot of these instances. And when you're facing a national emergency, the president must be seen to lead from the front and must be there all the time in order to restore the confidence of the people, which has been shaken by the knowledge now that we've dropped the ball on vaccines. So I'm talking really about the vaccine acquisition and rollout strategy, not the lockdown stuff. That's ongoing and they'll do what they do. The vaccine strategy is our national focus, and only the president can get us to a safe space as far as that is concerned.
Dr. Aslam Dasoo, thank you very much for your time. Convener of the Progressive Health Forum, I thank you for your time.